Yeah, I eventually think that we will no longer have U.S. dollar dominance over the long period.
Because business has slowed down, as you mentioned, we're seeing as a result, the ports here in the U.S., the traffic has really slowed, and now thousands of dock workers and truck drivers are worried about their jobs.
That means we lose less money. When I see that, that means we lose less money. Look, China was making over $1 trillion, 1.1 trillion, in my opinion. Different numbers from 500 billion to a trillion or a trillion. I think it was 1.1 trillion. And frankly, if we didn't do business, we would have been better off. Okay, you understand that. So when you say it slowed down, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But we're going to make it so they can. I'd like to say they could do better, actually, in terms of the bottom line. We'd like to see China opened up so we can compete in China and give people something that they've never had. Access to something that'd be great for the world. It would be great for our businesses, and I think it would be great for friendship. I really expect a lot of people think I'm a militant guy. I'm really not. I think that trade can bring a greater friendship with China. It can be something good. But, one of the things that I know Scott's going to be talking about very high on the list is open up and let our businesses go into China. Because when you talk about a closed country, that's a really closed country. And I think it would be great if it was opened up, give people a lot of choice, and would create a lot of jobs, a lot of everything. So I think it would be a great thing for China. And that's going to be one of the things we'll be discussing, like we discussed with UK.
So what does Britain have to do for you to drop the baseline 10% tariff that you're maintaining?
Well, I think that's set because that has to do with a lot of different things, including past. There are a lot of past things that we talk. This is very inclusive. We included everything, and that's pretty well set.
Bitcoin jumping above 100,000 today for the first time since February. And breaking just moments ago, the Senate failing to advance a first-of-its-kind stablecoin bill that would provide a regulatory framework for those digital assets. Let's bring in Miller Value Partners CIO and Chairman Bill Miller IV. It's good to see you. Welcome back.
Great to be here. Thank you, Scott.
Let's talk about this news that broke, as I was just saying it in our intro. What's your reaction to it, which the Treasury Secretary has come out with a statement as well, really excoriating those in the Senate who voted against this?
Well, regulators have always been extremely concerned about stable coins and their place in society. I think they're afraid of losing control over the medium of exchange. But it's still very early from a regulatory perspective. So the Digital Assets Advisory Board's recommendations aren't even due for another couple months here, right? And then beyond that, we go ahead and make regulations. So it's still really early within the new administration to even be talking about, regulation, except that it's more clarity is on the way. I don't know if you saw it, but a couple of days ago, the Fed just withdrew guidance that they had previously provided about requiring banks to give them notification if they want to engage in crypto custody and those sorts of activities on behalf of clients. So we're just at the early stages of this thing loosening up, but it's all very positive.
Early, but certainly an interesting stage. Just to tell folks what the Treasury Secretary said just 38 minutes ago, posted on social media following this vote, quote, "The world is watching while American lawmakers twiddle their thumbs. Senators who voted to stonewall U.S. ingenuity today face a simple choice. Either step up and lead or watch digital asset innovation move offshore." It sounds to me like you say this is just too soon to make a final judgment on where all this is going.
Yeah, that's right. No, but one of the most important things to keep in mind is if you just look at Bitcoin, it doesn't matter, right? Bitcoin doesn't care. It's back in the six figures with a lot of room to go. If you compare its primary functional use case, which is actually a check and a balance on the lack of accountability in fiat unit creation, we still have a long way to go. So gold is a 20 trillion market cap. Bitcoin is still 2 trillion despite functional superiority to gold. It's much harder to steal, much easier to store, much easier to instantly transport, and more importantly, you can actually audit it. So I don't know if you saw it, but there's an estimate that said that auditing Fort Knox would take 44,000 hours and approximately 18 months to complete. I think it'd be a lot nicer for the American people if they could just go to a handful of auditable Bitcoin addresses on a blockchain explorer and see exactly where the American people's Bitcoin is.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. Also, go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we have Trump with more jokes. And this just lets you know things are going to get bad. Says that the port slowing is a good thing. We lose less money. And remember, Trump's job is to remove the United States from a consumer nation. It's time to get back to manufacturing like he says and Biden used to say, but unfortunately, the manufacturing is going to be up to the machines. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have the Senate playing the Hegelian dialectic when it comes to these stablecoins. And don't forget, guys, Republicans have the House and Senate. And we had the Fed and the OCC giving approval for banks engaging in crypto. But we know the politicians, the puppets, are definitely going to bring drama. But 2025, we will get a great reset, and it's going to come due to these stablecoins. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Now we have Bitcoin back over 100K. Don't forget we have options tomorrow. And we get a new pope. And I'm going to do a Patreon video on it. I haven't done any real research on it, but I've done plenty of research on Leo the Great. So I know for a fact this pope is coming to bring us back to law and order. The first American pope, and he's going to lead by example. He's coming to bring back the Most High's laws. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Remember, guys, this is a plan. It moves in phases. And then we had the Coinbase CFO. She must have got the questions early because she is clearly reading off a script. This is one of the worst interviews I've ever seen. But, guys, we had Coinbase buy Deribit. And this is going to give them an even bigger footprint in the derivatives market, and you're talking about globally. And this is going to bring even more fees into Coinbase. And remember, this was the big vision of the bank man. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And then she talks about the adoption of stable coins. And like I stated, once we get this stable coin regulation done, we're going to have trillions and trillions of these stable coins minted. And with digital wallets and smart contracts, the masses won't even know they're using stable coins or the technology of these digital assets the same way they don't understand the financial system right now. They just use it. And that's the same way how they want it when it comes to this digital economy. Just tap and keep it moving. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
You're looking there at the new Pope Leo. Pope Leo making his first public appearance on the balcony of St. Peter's to give the traditional apostolic Urbi et Orbi blessing, meaning to the city and to the world. Now, the selection to choose him was actually rather quick, happening just about 24 hours after the deliberations began, but it took quite a while for him to appear out here on the balcony. We've been waiting over an hour, if I'm not mistaken about that. This is the first American elected as Pope. His name is Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost. He's 69 years old, born in Chicago. He's been a cardinal since September of 2023. Of course, we saw that white smoke billowing from the Sistine Chapel chimney just after noon Eastern. 133 cardinal electors had to reach a 2/3 majority decision. This was on the fourth vote of this conclave to select him.
Thanks for having me today. Well, what we're seeing today is that we're gaining market share. We're gaining market share in spot and derivative trading. We had over $800 billion in global derivatives trading in the quarter, and our average perps market share increased 60%. We are scaling internationally and really leveraging our international playbook to grow in high growth markets. We did have our second highest MTU quarter ever in Q1. And it looks so much different than it has in the past. For example, our peak in 2021 was all speculative trading. And today, we're seeing 80% of our MTUs doing something other than trading. So it really speaks to our revenue diversification. And that ties back to what you said about subscription and services revenue. Subscription and services revenue was up 9% quarter over quarter. We got almost nearly $700 million of subscription and services revenue, our all-time high. And we're seeing growth in stablecoins, growth in Coinbase One. So lots of bright spots within our earnings, despite navigating a very choppy market driven by macro trends this quarter. So we're really seeing stablecoins have product market fit and drive to a new era of crypto utility, as well as we've had staking opportunities to earn yield in crypto. We've introduced a debit card. We've introduced new products and services that we're finding users are engaging in new transaction types. And this is what's driving the mix and the change in behavior within our MTU base.
The Deribit acquisition that was announced, $2.9 billion earlier today, what does that enable? Does that expand you internationally? Is that the way to think about how that fits into the portfolio?
It expands us internationally, but also builds out the product suite of assets that we can trade. So it brings options to the platform. We'll become the largest option trader in crypto. We add this to our spot trading. We add this to our derivatives trading, which is futures and listed futures and perpetual futures. And so it really brings all of this under one roof for our traders. As you mentioned, it will increase our international expansion efforts as the majority of this revenue is non-US and really will add customers that we can then add to our other products and services in the international market.
Okay.
This is going to be providing us profitable, durable, diversified revenue within the transaction revenue line item. Yep, we saw Bitcoin hit back over 100,000 again. And what we see is investors are approaching this in a different and positive way. The diversification of investors in Bitcoin now, where you see the US setting up a Bitcoin strategic reserve fund, where you see international countries, sovereign entities thinking about holding Bitcoin as a store of value asset. More institutional investors are holding Bitcoin, corporates are holding it on their balance sheet. So it's looking different than it had from a speculative asset in the past. Now it is looking like gold. It is looking like a counter-cyclical asset that we saw in the recent drawdown. It's up over 1,000% over the last 5 years. And we just think this trend of people holding it as a store of value will continue. And you'll see more and more investor types holding Bitcoin in their portfolio. All legislation is a nonlinear journey. So we are making progress. We have bipartisan support to bring stablecoin legislation. It just wasn't today. But we think that this will continue to move forward over the coming days and weeks. And we see the stablecoin market evolving quickly. I mentioned earlier our own users. We can see growth over the last 2 years of the number of users holding USDC, the amount of USDC they're holding. And we saw USDC hit a new all-time high of 60 billion. So these assets have product market fit. We're seeing increasing utility behavior, growth in the overall ecosystem and payments, and I think we'll continue to see that continue.
Okay. Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leverage to technology, and I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust. And we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, well, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets. Now,
it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Crypto Teacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.